Let's bring in Republican Congressman Mark Walker of North Carolina, a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, thank you for joining us here today.
Thanks, Molly.
So I want to start with this questioning of Orr that's slated for tomorrow. Why is this happening now?
Because I believe this is just where it's taken us. If you go back to the Peter Strzok hearing, we got breaking news that afternoon. Jim Jordan and I were talking. He asked for a minute to yield back because it was for the first time that we had confirmation that Bruce Orr did give information from the dossier to the FBI. Now, it's not just when and what Mr. Orr knew, but it was how he arrived at the information, the faulty dossier, even been falsified by Lenny Davis and others. But what did he do with that information? We believe there's strong evidence. Catherine Herridge just mentioned that a little bit. More than 60 contacts after Bruce Orr lied about being able to be in contact with Christopher Steele. We have documentation. We want to ask him about some of that tomorrow.
You know, this is fascinating to get just even a brief glimpse at some of the text messages that went back and forth. Bruce Orr seems to be such a central figure when it comes to Fusion GPS, the dossier ultimately making it to the FISA court. You know, what are the questions that you want to see cleared up?
Well, I think there's many questions that we need to see cleared up. One was to get concrete evidence and for him to hopefully acknowledge that he financially benefited from the dossier, from Christopher Steele's work, as well as Glenn Simpson, who was also over obviously the Fusion GPS. Now, tomorrow will be a little different than other hearings. It'll be a closed-door hearing. Trey Gowdy and John Ratcliffe, both former federal prosecutors. This won't be 5 minutes of back and forth, people trying to get a video clip for the nightly news. This will be something that we're able to dial down and get to the bottom line. We want answers, and we believe that specifically, that knowing now that he financially benefited, how and why, let's follow that paper trail. Let's get it out for the American people.
Yeah, there are so many motivations that people have, whatever the issue is. So I guess that would be some of the questioning here. You know, what was your motivation? As far as Fusion GPS is concerned, we also know that the Democratic Party, that the Clinton campaign were funding some of this research done by Christopher Steele, that full accounting as to where this all came from wasn't presented in full and incomplete to the FISA court. So when you boil all of that down, the answers that he gave, will that clear up any of the explanation for how all of the information ended up before the court?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. It's not just the when and where, but it's how he obtained the information, what he did with that information. That's going to be crucial. All of this has been sponsored or brought to you by Hillary Clinton and our friends at the DNC. We want to make sure that we're putting these pieces of paper together, this trail. But also, it's very interesting with Nellie Orr. She's a central figure. Even though the investigation is directed at Bruce Orr, we want to know how he obtained that information. But here is someone who lived in Russia, and obviously some of the information that we've discovered. Why is it that we were wondering that she purchased a ham radio operator's license the very same month that she was hired Fusion GPS? This continues to unravel, but it looks like this is a perfect example of this deep state of this swamp creatures that have been playing a different set of rules than what the American people have been playing by.
All right, Congressman Mark Walker, thank you so much. Interesting that you mentioned this behind closed doors, so it does take some of that political theater out. So we'll see if you guys get the answers that you're looking for, and if ultimately we as the American people will also get some of that information as well. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Molly.